Continually monitor breathing. Provide CPR if necessary. Contact emergency care. First, the local emergency medical system, then the local diver emergency service like the Divers Alert Network if there is one for the area. Keep a breathing, unresponsive diver lying level with his left side down. If the victim becomes responsive, keep him lying down. Administer emergency oxygen and maintain his temperature by protecting him from heat or cold. Continue providing care until emergency medical help arrives. If you can't accompany the diver to medical care, write down as much information about the dive and the diver as possible. This isn't an accident report, so provide only information like the dive profile, the emergency care provided, emergency contact information, and known medical conditions. Write only facts. Don't speculate or guess. Anyone who has been unresponsive underwater or in water should have a medical examination. Some conditions, like near drowning, can have serious delayed effects that are potentially fatal. These can occur more than 24 hours later, even in someone who appears fully recovered. Let's look at your options for surface signaling devices. You should have at least two: an audible device that attracts attention with noise, and a visual device that makes it easier to see you from a distance. Whistles are the most common audible devices. Attach yours here, where it's out of the way but easy to use in an emergency. Low-pressure horns use your cylinder air. They're very loud, but have a regular whistle too in case your cylinder's empty. Inflatable signal tubes fit in your pocket, yet stand a meter or 3 feet or more out of the water when deployed. They make it much easier to see you, especially in rough conditions. Delayed surface marker buoys, DSMBs, do the same job. The main difference is that you can deploy them from underwater. Signal mirrors get attention by reflecting the sun. They're useful for signaling aircraft as well as boats. Signal lights and flashers designed for diving are good options for night diving. You may use a dive float when shore diving or when going some distance from a boat. Dive floats give you something to rest on, mark dive sites, help carry accessories, provide emergency flotation, and support dive flags. The best type depends on what uses you have in mind. Tow a dive float with line on a proper reel. Loose line poses an entanglement hazard. Tow by hand so you simply let go if a boat or something entangles the line. Dive flags alert boaters and other watercraft to your presence. The traditional dive flag indicates that divers are below and boats should stay clear. Many areas require it when diving in navigable waters. The alpha flag indicates that a vessel has divers in the water and can't maneuver. Generally, it is only required to be used by boats, but some regions use it for all diving activities and fly them from the surface floats. Some areas require both flags. Your instructor will tell you which applies where you're diving. Fly a flag so it's visible from at least 100 meters or yards. Local laws may stipulate how close you have to stay to it and how far boaters must stay away. If not, the general rule is for divers to stay within 15 meters or 50 feet and boaters to stay 30 to 60 meters or 100 to 200 feet. Don't assume every boater recognizes dive flags. If a boat sounds loud and close, stay deep enough to be safe until it passes. You've seen several entries you may learn during the course. Another you may learn is the seated back row. It's useful from small boats and swim steps that are close to the water. After your pre-dive safety check, sit at the edge, facing away from the water with your cylinder out over the surface, like this. Partially inflate your BCD. Breathe from your regulator and hold your mask. After your buddy confirms the area is clear, tuck your chin and lean back until your weight naturally rolls you in. Hold your mask until you bob back up. Then signal you're okay and clear the area for your buddy's entry. Besides dropping weights in an emergency, you need to be able to remove and replace your weights to make adjustments or for some entry and exit methods. Your instructor will show you the appropriate technique for your equipment, but here are some points that may apply to most systems. When removing weights, be careful not to drop them. Your buddy may help you, or you may hand them to a boat crew or someone on a dock. Before donning weights in the water, be sure you have ample buoyancy, and you may want to switch from snorkel to regulator so you can breathe in any position as you position the weight. With many weight-integrated BCDs, it helps to turn face up so the pouches slide into place, but this varies. Using a weight belt, hold the free end so weights don't slip off the end, and replace it with the loop method, like this. Cramps are painful involuntary muscle contractions. In diving, they're most common in the feet and legs. If you get a cramp, stop, signal your buddy, and let the muscle rest. Gently stretch and massage the muscle. Use your fin, like this. If your buddy has a cramp, you can help by giving her something to press against, like this. Wait a few minutes after the cramp subsides before continuing at a slower pace. After learning basic buoyancy control, the next level is hovering. Establish neutral buoyancy, then gently push off the bottom, like this. You should hover without using your hands and fins, rising and sinking a bit as you inhale and exhale. You can control your position a bit by slightly raising or lowering how deeply you breathe, but don't hold your breath. It may take some practice to get the knack. Your instructor will have you work on this until you can hover for at least 30 seconds. After you're properly weighted and neutrally buoyant, you check and adjust your trim, your balance in the water. With your buddy, swim slowly in midwater. Pause and relax to see how your body wants to orient itself. Ideally, you want to trim yourself so you tend to stay in a relatively horizontal, face-down position, like this. If your feet rise or sink significantly, or if you roll face up, your instructor will help you reposition your weight and gear for a better trim. This is something you'll gradually learn to adjust from one dive to the next. The Peak Performance Buoyancy course further refines these skills beyond what you master in this course. Ask your instructor or visit PADI.com for more information. Once you've experienced air depletion and practiced alternate air source use, you'll put them together. When it becomes hard to breathe after your instructor closes the valve, signal for air. Secure your buddy's alternate air source and switch to it. Your instructor will reopen your valve so you can use your own if you need to for some reason. After a few breaths and getting settled, swim with your buddy for at least a minute sharing air. This gives you practice in sharing air and staying together while swimming for about as long as it might typically take to reach the surface in a real emergency. Your instructor will have you finish by actually ascending to the surface. Orally inflate your BCD to simulate not having air for low pressure inflation. Keep using the alternate air source until you're buoyant. You'll begin practicing the Controlled Emergency Swimming Ascent, or CESA, in Confined Water Dive 3. Previously, you learned that you simply look up, reach up, and swim up, making an ah sound. Keep all your gear in place. Since confined water isn't very deep, you'll do this with your instructor horizontally. So for practice, as you swim horizontally, think of ahead as up. Your instructor will be beside or beneath you and signal when to start. Reach out and look ahead, and make a steady ah sound as you swim at 18 meters or 60 feet per minute. Don't rush. You should be able to go at least 9 meters or 30 feet. After you've mastered this in confined water, you'll get to practice in open water with your instructor, using a line for safety and control.